I'm Jennifer, and I am the owner of Porcelynne and the author of the Bare Essentials series. And I'm also the creator of the Eve Classic bra. So I'm really excited. There has been a few other videos I've done discussing the sewing and the initial release of this. I've actually been working on this pattern for just about a year. I believe I started it when I was finishing up the Bare Essentials 3rd edition. And this is a version of it. So this is a very small cup. This is, I think, a size 1. And what I want to explain is that this bra is done differently. So I don't have the traditional A through D cup. What I've actually done is what I've created is separate band patterns and cup patterns, which means that you select your band pattern, and we recommend you do kind of a test fit of the band to make sure the band fits right with the wire. And then once you actually have the band that fits and you made all the alterations you need to the band, then you select your cup. So this is the regular, this bra is a cup 2, which means basically one of my cups goes up to 20 sizes and one goes up to 30 sizes. So the main difference is, I've got down here, is I've got the Eve Classic for the regular wire versus the Eve Classic for the vertical wire. Now, that's just kind of how they're designed. The main difference is the uniform shape. So in a smaller cup, you have your breast is concentrated in one little area. And that generally means that your apex is right about the middle of the cup. So if you look here, this is a uniform cup. So the cup's a little bit wider, so it throws it a little bit further off. But this, in the regular wire cup, this one actually creates your apex in the center. Now this is really good for any cup sizes from like a double A up to probably a double D. And then the main difference is with the one I did for the vertical wires, that this is for a non-uniform shape, meaning that this is for a breast size that is probably a double D or higher, one that is a little bit bigger and rounder. And just kind of using this as a reference, even though this is a really small cup, is that when you've got the regular wire, and I did another video on wires altogether, so you can always review that. But the idea is when you have a larger cup, you sometimes have a wire that's a little bit narrower. Now, you can easily use a wide wire, but still need this cup. And I've actually created instructions in here on how to actually make that adjustment for using this band with this cup. And I'll go through the instructions so you have a better idea. So a non-uniform cup means that the breast is larger, and it would actually sit wider on the body. And so what we do with the non-uniform shape is I did my curves on this side, on the side of the cup, smaller than I did the ones in the front. So what this ends up doing is this forces volume to the front of the cup, which helps keep you from having what they consider to be east-west movement. Basically, if you're wearing a bra and your boobs sit underneath your arms, that's considered east-west. What we're trying to do with the non-uniform cup is this actually helps correct that east-west and pushes it towards the front of the body. So that's the main difference between these two cups. So when you're getting ready to venture on this, and I know this is a very simple design, and I did this for a reason. And the main reason is that we want to have a good base cup, meaning something that's going to fit on every occasion. The one for the non-uniform breast does have a little bit more push-up than if you did your own personal draft, because this actually has less curve in the bottom, so it pushes it up. But what I have really been working hard on is some classes on how to actually take the cup from my Eve, turn it into a sloper, which means turn it into something that you can then manipulate and turn into another design. So I have a few other videos that'll be released in the next couple days one on turning this pattern into a sloper, and then another one on how to manipulate it into a different design. Now these are both kind of teasers that are kind of pointing you towards my online classes. So the Eve, to turn it into a sloper, it's on YouTube, but it's also as an online class, and that class is going to be 100% free. The sloper class I am going to be charging for because it is a little bit more work and it was a lot of work putting them together. So I need to be compensated for my time, and I don't have enough followers on YouTube to make it worth my time to just put it on YouTube. So I'm going to kind of go and briefly explain the band. So when you're doing and selecting your band, what you want to do is you're going to select your band based on your wire. So select your wire, get the best fit of the wire so you know which style. And I have created this for the regular, for all of my wires. And other manufacturers have very similar wires, so you're just going to want to compare the charts to mine. So I have this for the regular wire, the vertical wire, the long vertical wire, the short vertical wire, and the vertical flat wire. So I have this band done in 4 different wires. And I do carry, no, sorry, 5 different wires, can't count. I do have a 6th wire, which I'm not created the band for yet because it's not really going to fall into this category. It would actually be for a different set, which would be my demi wires. So for this one, you select your wire and then you select your band. And the way the band is created and the measurements are is that you take your underbust and then you measure, and actually I have a chart in here and a calculator on the website too that actually tells you which band size to buy. And once you get your band size, it has almost all of the wires in each of the band sizes. The 28 will have not as many of the really big wires, and then the 52 will not have many of the small wires, but right in the middle I believe you'll have about all of them. And this is available in 3 different torso shapes. So if we look here at this band, you notice that there is an angle here. This is telling me that the chest measurement, which is the amount above and amount below, this amount up here is bigger than down here. Now my patterns offer 4 different variations. So just to kind of get you an idea, so you can see that this one has what we call a downward hike. So if you see it, it curves up and then it slopes down in the back. This is, I believe, my V6, I can't remember. So this is telling me that I have a 6-inch difference in my chest than from the underbust. And so this is going to make a more extreme angle. For those that have no difference between the chest and the underbust, your angle is going to change. It's going to be more like this. You can kind of see. And so each one of these band patterns has 4 different torso variations. So once you have figured out what your shape is and what adjustments you need on the band, then you can figure out what cup to get. So just kind of going through the instructions, and my instructions are very detailed. If you look for my band, I have 23 pages. And so this goes through, you know, how to determine your upper torso shape. You need to make sure you select your underwire. And then this kind of this gives you your supplies that you need. This tells you what height and for the hook and eye and the straps. And then this even goes into how to print it. So I've actually done this so you can select a layer, so you don't actually have to print out everything. If you deselect everything you don't need, you can go through your file and see which pages you need to print and just print those pages. Okay, I have listed in here my seam allowances, the pattern stretch, the elastic stretch if you want to change them. So like I said, very, very detailed. If even my patterns need some adjustments, well, then you can make further adjustments on here. I know, lots and lots of info. When you do your test fit, things that you want to be aware of is how much space are between the breast. Now, if you put this is a standard, I believe I have it as a 3/4 of an inch total width in the center, which is about 20 millimeters. if your breasts are closer to this, that means that one of these wires is going to be sitting on breast tissue, and you're going to need to make that narrower. So this just goes through the steps on how to make it narrower, and here's a little guide on how what width you would probably want to do that before you even get started. Here is if you need to change the width of elastic on the bottom. And here are different changes in case you have to modify the wire. So, or for a wire that is for one I don't carry. So for some reason you want to spring the wire, and in this design it's not designed around a sprung wire. It's designed around a wire that fits the breast well, so it doesn't really spring. If for some reason you cannot get a good shape with the wire as is, you may need to spring it to get a better shape around the breast root. And in that case, you do want to note how much you're changing, and you're going to have to modify your band to modify that wire line. So I just have different instructions in here. Now I do have a support group on Facebook that you're welcome to join, in case you have any questions regarding this. These steps here, this is making an alteration if you're going to do a fitting band. So doing a fitting band is usually one that you can do tester cups in that you would use over and over again, which is why here we actually are adding to our seam allowance here to make it a little bit more stable for seam ripping. And here's just our layouts for cutting. And then I have several steps for sewing a fitting band. So this is just the fitting band. And there are sewing videos for all of this in one of the other videos on YouTube. And then here is troubleshooting your fit. So after you've done your fitting band, you can kind of follow over here and see, okay, what might be some of the issues that you're having? Is the band sitting where it's supposed to be? The most common thing I see is when you put the fitting band on, if the wires kind of buckle and twist in the front, they don't lay flat, but they go on top of each other. That means that you need a much narrower bridge. So you would actually need to modify that so your casing may overlap completely at the top, so it's only as wide as the casing at the top. And so this just goes into altering for the bridge, altering with the wire just to check what the wire fits right on here. And I don't know if I have it in here, but I have done a couple other videos that not everybody has the same body proportions. So you may need to end up bending your wires. So if your body is straight right here, this wire will be perfect. But if you're really curved, you may need to bend your wires a little bit more like this so they fit around your body and they actually stay put. And you can do that with my wires. And most wires you can. You just have to be careful that you're not going to be pulling them too much after that. Another alteration that we have noticed is that sometimes the bottom of the breast are not equal straight across. So if you take a look, and I'll just line this up here. So I've done kind of a quick little explanation here, and it tells you how to change it. But if you look in the mirror and you hold up the breast and you look at where the bottom of the breast are, if one sits higher than the other, you actually want to adjust your band so one sits higher than the other. Otherwise you're going to have this side pulling down and this side cutting in. So you're going to have a little bit of discomfort. So this just goes into showing how to alter that band if you have to make that adjustment. Okay, so if you're going to be using, let's see, the vertical band with the regular cups, well, this actually will help tell you which vertical cup you need to order. So I'll get to the cups in just a second, and it just shows you some of the alterations you need to make. And then last but not least, I have sewing the full bra. See all these lovely steps. So it's a very detailed, like I said, 23 pages for the band. Once you've got your band and your wire all situated, then we're going to look over at our cup. And so I'm going to look at these simultaneously. It's about the same information. Let's see what we have here. Oh, I have more information here than here. And basically just kind of determining which cup shape you need. So this one goes over shape. And this is for the non-uniform. Remember, the vertical is for non-uniform, so that's where your apex or your breast is fuller and you need to push it more towards the front. And the cup sizes are not traditional, so they are not A through F or anything like that. If you take a peek on the very last page, last 2 pages have all the measurements. I have up to 20 sizes for the different wires. So you'll be ordering your cup size based on your wire. So you would actually order the wire of the cup, so let's say the 36 wire, and you have 13 options, which is way more than most bra manufacturers would give you, or even bra designers would give you for that one size. So for using a 36 wire, I have cups in here that is anywhere from 7 3/4 all the way up to 10 inches. And so this one, I believe, is the 34 wire in the cup too. So this is probably the equivalent of about maybe a 34 double A. But it has a different proportion because it's for a very shallow cup. But there are different ways to do that. So it is not really cut forward. It is not really straightforward with how to select your sizes. And this is why you're going to need to use the calculator that is on the website for either the regular wire or the vertical. And these are on the product listings themselves. You basically punch in your measurements and it'll tell you which size we recommend. And because you've got the whole range of them for that wire, it's easy to test and say try one. If it's a little bit too small, you can go up, or you can go down if it's a little bit too big. And there's also a page on my blog that actually has the tutorial of the entire thing with this eave that has those calculators as well. On these, on the eave, both in the regular and the vertical, there are also 4 options for the top cup. And those have to do directly with your torso shape. So remember how we discussed your torso shape is here at an angle. So this might be for a 6-inch difference. Well, your top cup also has a little bit of that in it to make the top cup wider because you have a wider area in the top of your chest. So there's 4 different variations for that top cup, as well as the 20 different cup sizes for this one, and for this one 30 different cup sizes. And this one just goes through making any adjustments you need to for the elastics. Let's see. Okay, so and then the vertical, this one has more information on altering the cup to match the band. So I have 5 different band options, and so these go through the steps on what to do for each one. So this is for the regular. So this is to alter the vertical cups for the regular band. You have the alterations right here and where to make them. Here's the ones for the flat vertical, short vertical, and long vertical. So I have this all covered here. It's like that got moved a little bit down to the next page, so I'm going to need to correct that. Okay, our supply list here. Oh, I just passed that. And our printing instructions, which are going to be the same. And then this is where we can alter the top cup if you need to make additional changes. So I'm very, very thorough. I did not change my images for the regular to the vertical. It will be almost the same. So as you can see, the instructions are all the way the same. Let's go back through. These are kind of the cups. It's not just making the cups. And this is troubleshooting how your cup fits. Now, there's several different things. Some you might see that the shape, it looks, your horizontal seam should go almost straight across on here. If it is drooping in the front, that means you need to go with a smaller cup. And if it is kind of giving you some weird gathering things in the middle, but everything else looks tight, it just means that your probably top cup needs to be a little bit bigger. And so this will walk you through different alterations that you can make, whether you want to go up a cup or down a cup. And this will help you alter your lower cup height, or how to make changes if you have a left breast different than a right breast. Then if you need to change the horizontal, the location of where your apex is, how you can do that. And then we get really complicated. So there are times when you have, let's say you measure, and let me write this down. So let's just say, for instance, you have the over bust or chest let's just say 40. Your full bust is maybe 42, and your under bust is 36. So looking at your over and your under, you have a 4-inch difference. So that would tell me that you should be using the V4. But if your band, to make the band fit, if you had to take that in, so if you had to take this in like, let's say, 1/2 inch on the fold, that probably meant that your actual band draft was designed for a 36 over 36 under. So if your angle is going straight up and down and is not angled at all, that means that you would basically be more of a tubular shape in your body. So you're completely round like this, but that 4-inch difference is all in the front of the cup. So if you make your band, and your final band measurements would basically say that your over bust is 36 and your under is 36. But this is telling me that this is our measurement, so this has to go somewhere. So this needs to go into the full cup. When you plug your measurements into the chart to figure out your size, you're going to use this, 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 but then you're going to do an additional top cup split. So kind of like what I show, let's see right here. Right here. So you're going to do, basically come in, slash the neckline, open up the neckline. So there is a 4-inch difference. Well, you're not going to put 4 inches on both the right and the left. You're going to divide that by 2. So you're going to open each top cup by 2 inches. So you're going to open that up, spread it, and open this amount by 2 inches. And then that should account for that 4-inch difference on your body. And changing all of these amounts in the calculator will make a difference. So you're going to end up with a bigger cup by using these 3 as opposed to using these 3. And these are all calculated based on the math I did for the Bare Essentials 3rd edition. And you should get pretty close with this. And it does make a difference in your materials, how comfortable you like stretch, if you like it extra stretchy, if you like it super snug. There's a lot of factors that can go into play, so you may need to be altering this. And no bra pattern fits everybody right out of the box. So this is going to be as close to custom as you get. And you can even ask people who have drafted custom and then done the eave, and they have gotten almost the exact same draft that they have by getting the eave. So you can skip a step of drafting, or it's kind of fun to do both. It's nice to learn the math that is behind the draft to understand the cups a little bit more. So with that in mind, and I just lost that page, I'll have to filter that back in somewhere. So this little chart tells me if you had to change your band 1 inch. Well, you're going to go with the same cup size, and then you're going to, so this tells you, it gives you kind of a troubleshooting method to figure out which cups you need to do. So this is also really helpful for drafting. So even if you are not making the eave and you're drafting, printing out the instructions for the eave, which are available on my blog, you can print them out and reference this, and this will really help you understand how to fix your pattern a little bit more. And then in the very last 2 pages, looks like I have another page after that. No, I put that one in the wrong place too. So the last 2 pages have all the measurements of the across cup for each of the wires, and you can see that these go up to 20. And if we look over here, so there's 2 pages, one is metric and one is imperial, and this is the other one. So you can see that my 48 has 30 different options, from about a 10 1/4 to about 16 1/4. So I have a lot of different sizes in here. Like I said, this is a really innovative, different way to do this design, and I have been working on this for a year. So I know this was lengthy, but hopefully this will kind of cover some questions. And there are definitely some alterations, especially this. This is a very tricky one that I may end up pulling out and doing separate. So if you have gotten this far through the video, I appreciate it. It is a little bit lengthy. There's a lot of information in here, and you can easily, watch this over and over again. I might try and put this somewhere else into maybe like a little online tutorial, but for sticking through this, I am going to offer you a discount on all of the Eve patterns for a few weeks. It's going to be available on my website, basically 50% off on my Eve, to let everybody give this a shot. And make sure you stay tuned for the video that'll be coming out in a couple days on turning this into a sloper, and then a few days later to find out how to turn it into a completely different design. Thank you again.
Thanks for watching. If you would like to have more content like this, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, or leave a comment below. Thank you very much.